Sex isn't intimacy. Sex is pleasurable and becomes more pleasurable when you have intimacy. Not sold? Let's rethink love, relationships, and sex. Let me seduce you. You are listening to the Linguist of Love. Welcome to the Erotic Renaissance. Welcome to the Erotic Renaissance. I am MiiMii de la Torre, your linguist of love. In our previous episode, I guided you through my recent open house play party at Club Safe Word, Herogasm. I hope you enjoyed your time as the voyeur in the room and rested well and easily if you decided to play alongside Season 3, Episode 9. If this is the first episode of the Erotic Renaissance you are listening to, this is our Season 3 finale. Originally, I had planned an entirely different episode for today, but I will be saving this episode for Season 4. I'm so sorry, love. You will have to wait patiently as we move ourselves a little closer towards the other side of the sun in 2024. During this time of the year, I usually like going inward, which is the holiday season if you are listening in tempo with me. Last year, I ended Season 2 with a story for your inner child, inviting you to hold your shadows a little more lovingly. In our Season 3 finale, I will be reading you my letter to Papá Noel. If you didn't know, the archetype of Santa Claus is recognized globally. The tradition differs from culture to culture, with names like Father Christmas, Sinterklaas, Saint Nicholas, Weihnachtsmann, Los Reyes Magos, Papá Noel, etc. The traditions range but carry similar themes of goodness and generosity. The legend of Santa Claus can be traced back to what we know as modern-day Turkey around 280 AD. Saint Nicholas, either a monk or a bishop, traveled the countryside helping the less fortunate, and he was canonized in 1446 as the saint or protector of children and sailors by Pope Eugene IV. One of the most commonly heard tales of St. Nicholas's generosity is of him providing money for a dowry for 3 impoverished girls whose father was preparing to sell them into slavery or prostitution. Legend has it that St. Nicholas tossed a bag of gold through a window that landed into a stocking that was drying by the fire. With a dowry, the girls could be married rather than sold or enslaved. With a reputation of stories like this, St. Nicholas became recognized as a protector of children, and I am sure you can recognize why gift giving is a notable tradition linked to the holidays. While the holidays are celebrated differently all over our beautiful world, this year poses many difficulties. As someone who seeks to always create safe spaces for others, especially for children, I feel like a mother of the world who wants to cry out loudly to everyone to stop and think seriously about the effects of war. Not only on the beauty of the world, which is destroyed in a pointless fight over its rocks, sands, and ash that are owned by none of us, but most pressing to me are the impacts on the lives of children who are growing up knowing nothing but war, pain, and trauma. Today, I string my words for you in the only way I know how to combat conflict, hoping that not only will those hurting hear this, but that those with the power and authority to help bring peace will finally do so. For, as it often tends to be, governmental power is held with a tight fist at the excuse of the people's ignorance. And we all know quietly that there are misinformed history books in our schools, unspoken agendas, and conversations in rooms we will never be privy to hear, nor will we be invited to voice our thoughts. Thus, as we begin today's episode, I invite you to get as comfortable and as cozy as possible wherever you might be today. If you have the scent Voyage Home by Stella Lux Creations, I suggest adding some to your wax melter. However, if you do not have this scent, I recommend having something nearby that reminds you of home. If you would like to practice some deep breathing alongside me as we begin our stories for today, you may do so now. I'm going to lead us through 4 deep breaths together. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. Dear Papa Noel, things are rough here, down in the middle of the earth. I'm sure you've seen the news from the North Pole, but war is erupting everywhere. And while we keep asking the leaders to step up and stop the wars, no one seems to be listening to us. I know that you have noticed that a large portion of your list has gone missing. With so many cousin children lost to fighting by adults over land that none of us even own. I can imagine you are just as hurt over this as I am, as you are the protector of children. And Papa Noel, you will never believe it, but given the opportunity more than once, the US president didn't even vote to stop the war in Gaza. That's how I know that this mission calls for your help. Obviously, you are more powerful than the President of the United States, for you can work miracles. So, I would prefer to write to you before I attempt writing the President again. I am sick with sadness, and I know you are too, which is why I can't imagine anything I would rather request during the holidays than for peace for our world. Now, Papa Noel, I can already hear you telling me that you can't make people be kind or peaceful or even just. Rather, I ask that this holiday season you send something that reminds this whole world of adults at war that children deserve a childhood. Free of the fears, stresses, and inhumanity of dictators who repeat history's mistakes in their clutch for power. They deserve to wish on stars, love fully, dream of their future's happiness, and have hope that floats them through the difficult days. But the war isn't only the kind you think of, Papá Noel. The war is within the home, too. So, I am enclosing 2 stories for you, just in case they will help you usher in peace to our beautiful blue planet. I'll start with a story from my days as a high school teacher, when I went by Miss G, which I believe might remind people how a war within an adult creates a war within a child. Lila lies. There once was a classroom that lay in the warmth of California's sunshine. The scholars sat just close enough to entice conversation as the teacher moved about the room, providing some one-on-one help to groups of scholars working together on their essays. The afternoon sun gently warmed the room as sounds of typing carried a harmony to accompany the soft music in the background. Miss G relit her Palo Santo and began to walk around the room, dispersing the woodsy scent into the corners of the room. It was only a few moments later that Lila exclaimed from the opposite end of the room, "What the fuck? Get out of my face!" as she pushed Erica roughly away from her desk. Lila attempted to get up quickly from her seat with balled up fists. There was an immediate eruption as some of the males in the corner of the room started to get up and move in towards the fight. "Stop!" Miss G's voice echoed off the glossy whiteboard walls as the classroom noise stilled instantly. Scholars began to sit down, so Miss G calmed her tone. "Please come chat with me at my desk, Lila." Lila threw her head back as she rolled her eyes. come on, Miss G. I have to finish my essay. Lila frequently disrupted class, especially as the day neared its end. I'm not going to make you do anything, Lila, but I would like to talk. I'll leave that up to you. Miss G returned to her desk and began to grade rough drafts until Lila sighed loudly and approached the desk. Sitting heavily into the seat, she allowed her feet to drop loudly against the floor. Okay, Miss G, what do you want to talk about? Miss G slightly closed her laptop and faced Lila. What happened today? I don't know. You don't know, or you don't want to talk about it? Lila shrugged. Would you like to take a walk up to the library? I need a laptop picked up for my tea. After Lila shrugged her shoulders again, Miss G offered to ask Jonathan instead. Lila sighed. I'll go. Miss G wrote a pass and handed it to Lila. Take your time, Mija. Lila almost smiled as she took the pass and kicked the door open on her way out. Did you send her to the office, Miss G? Jonathan asked loudly as the door slammed shut. Sorry, Jonathan. That's between me and Lila for now, but I appreciate the concern. Miss G approached Erica. Do you have some time to chat, Mija? Erica nodded and followed Miss G to the door outside. Stepping out, Miss G asked Erica if she was okay and took a look at her arm, checking her for marks. Yeah, I'm fine. Do you want to tell me what happened? Miss G, she's just crazy. She's always yelling and shit. All I did was walk by her and she blew up like that. I didn't do nothing, Miss G. Can you say more about what you mean by the word crazy? She just yells all the time, especially in math. You can even ask Miss Furnham. She just causes problems, Miss G. Thank you for letting me know what you meant, Mija. I'll talk with her too. Miss G looked at the time. We have about 10 minutes left in class. Do you want to process anything else? No, I just want to finish my essay with Jules, Miss G. Okay, Mija. Let me know if you need or want to talk more, okay? With a nod, Erica returned to her desk. As the school bell rang, Lila re-entered the classroom with another door kick as Miss G waved. Bye, scholars. I'll see you Friday. Here, Miss G. Lila handed the laptop and charger to Miss G, but continued to stare at the ground. Do you have a few minutes, or do you need to get home? Groaning, Lila plopped herself back down into the seat What now, Miss G? Jonathan lingered by the door, but Miss G noticed. We are going to need some privacy for this conversation, Jonathan. Do you have a question before you leave for the day? Jonathan shook his head. Bye, Miss G. See you Friday. Miss G waved as Jonathan slowly departed the classroom before turning back to Lila. I noticed that you tend to get most upset towards the end of the day, and I wanted to ask if everything is okay at home. Lila was quiet for a few moments. The answer was firm and tight. Miss G waited again, noticing the unspoken words caught in Lila's throat. No one does anything about it anyway. Are you able to talk to me about what it is? Lila shook her head as the words moved from her throat to her eyes. Fuck, man. She said quietly, as some of the words escaped and marked little trails down her cheeks. My dad. Lila paused. The way she ended the sentence confirmed what Miss G had often felt over the course of the years she had been Lila's teacher. Sensing the nature of what Lila had to say, it only felt right to create space for Lila to make an informed decision about sharing more details with a teacher. I take your safety seriously inside and outside of my classroom. But before we talk more, I feel it is just to remind you that I am a mandated reporter and would be legally required to call Child Protective Services if you are in danger. CPS doesn't do nothing, Miss G. They come and they go. Can you say more about that? The last teacher called CPS, and they didn't do shit but get my dad mad. Miss G understood. Her own father had always made her and her siblings afraid to talk about what they were enduring behind closed doors when she was a child. You think you have it bad? Her father would say. If you tell someone, the police will steal you away, and you'll have to stay with people who are worse. So Miss G really understood. She understood the need to tell someone, but being so scared of what worse would look like. I don't want you to do anything you think is going to make things more unsafe for you, but I want to help in whatever way you might need. I want to tell you, Miss G, They don't do anything anyway, and I'm listening, Lila. Back then I was doing real bad shit, Miss G. It was a couple years ago, and my dad had sent me to rehab. And Miss G, I'm not even mad about that. I'm actually really glad I went. Even though I hated it. It helped me stop hurting myself like that. I was there for a while and had just gotten home and went to sleep. But my dad pulled me out of bed. He tied me to the ground outside on the grass and began to spray me with the hose. And I was screaming for him to stop. But he wouldn't. Miss G felt angry tears choke her as she looked at Lila. CPS didn't help you? Miss G, they came, and when they talked to my father, he made them leave. What do you mean by he made them leave? Like he told them I was lying. He said, look at her school reports. Look at her report card. She's a bad student. The school knows she lies. So they left. Miss G looked at Lila. 14. And avoiding home like she once had. Are you safe now? No. This one word explained everything Miss G needed to know about the missing assignments and afternoon disruptions. Is there anything else you need or want to say about that, Lila? Lila shook her head. No. Next time you feel angry or upset, like today, please approach me for a pass to go for a walk. My promise to you is I will do anything within my power to help you feel safe, Mija. Lila continued to look at the ground and nodded through some stray tears as she grabbed a tissue that Miss G offered her. You can try, Miss G. And try she did. Miss G called Child Protective Services and recounted Lila's story through tears and multiple calls. However, the same response emerged each time. I'll write it down, but there's really nothing we can do without a new report. But she claims to feel unsafe now, though. How is she supposed to do homework when she feels unsafe at home? How is she supposed to focus at school when she is afraid to go home? Does she have marks or bruises? I was only able to see her arms, but no, there were no bruises. I'll make a report that you called, but they won't send anyone out unless something new happens. I'm sorry, but you can give us a call then. In the silence of the call's end, Miss G heard the echo of a child's cry, a sound that haunted her own memories. The cry echoed and echoed until she could not return to the small classroom anymore. For her classroom had become a place she was forced to witness her own traumas, recycled in the eyes that others dismissed as lies. Papá Noel, I have one more story to include to you in this letter requesting world peace. This story comes as a poem from another teacher and writer like me. I read this poem with immense honor. As of writing this letter to you, his light was snuffed out by an aimed airstrike that killed him and his family. His name was Raf'at العرعير. If I must die, if I must die, you must live to tell my story, to sell my thanks, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings. Make it white with a long tail, so that a child somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze and bid no one farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite, my kite you made, flying up above, and thinks for a moment an angel is there, bringing back love. If I must die, let it bring hope. Let it be a tale. I can't even say I'm sorry to bring such a somber letter to you, because today, more than ever, it feels needed and right and just. Again, I know you have a lot to deliver this Noel season. And if you cannot bring me the world peace that I so dearly would love, that the world truly needs, please send me a piece of white cloth and strings so I can tell the children I hear them. أنا بسمعك with respect and honor. MiiMii. It is my hope that this episode reminded you that the villains we encounter are birthed in silenced cries, and that rage is a sign that there is injustice living in the world. As we close up Season 3, my winter give back project is to help provide aid to children being affected by the humanitarian crisis and war in Gaza. However, I have heard that much of the humanitarian aid being sent is being sold at a high premium to those who need it, or have seen videos of aid being burned by armed Israeli forces. Thus, I will be dancing this winter to support the efforts of Save the Children International, which is a nonprofit organization focusing on providing pathways for children globally to have the future they deserve. Save the Children International has a permanent presence providing aid in Gaza since 1973. As an individual who lives her own life through a PTSD lens, I can't allow children to undergo further trauma over land that no one owns. A link can be found in the description of this episode if you would like to be a part of supporting Save the Children International's efforts to provide a safer future for all children. As said best by Save the Children International, every child deserves a future, no matter who they are or where they come from. It is my hope that you stand alongside me in uniting for children's rights across the globe, especially during this time of crisis. I invite you to raise your voice alongside me in saying, "All the children are my children. All the people are my people. Todos niños son mis hijos. Todas las personas son mi familia. كل الطفل هم الطفل. كل الناس عشيرتي."
All the children are my children. All the people are my people.
All the children are my children. All the people are my people.
All the children are my children. All the people are my people.
Todos los niños son mis niños. Toda la gente es mi gente. Todas as crianças são meus filhos. Todas as pessoas são meu povo. All the children are my children. All the people are my people.
If you're listening to my voice as the sun sets, I hope you rest well and easily and dream up new dreams and adventures for tomorrow. And if you're listening to my voice as the sun rises, may you tame any dragons with the greatest of strength and with the utmost empathy. I am MiiMii de la Torre, your linguist of love. Let me seduce you.